Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome to a brand new week and welcome to another edition of what we call the Shifting the Culture podcast, where we talk about the different artists and events, past or present, that have impacted and still continue to impact this culture we know and love as hip hop. I am your host, the vegan you believe in, Conscious Kurt, aka the Professor in the flesh as always.
And this is the evil genius King Khan, aka Khan Evil, live and direct once again.
What's going on, bro? Happy Super Bowl Sunday.
Yes, sir, man. Pretty excited about tonight. Should be hopefully a good game. Just yeah, how's everything going on your side, man?
Everything's going well. Just working on getting my shit together, working on, getting out of my own head, things along those lines. But other than that, things are good. I'm ready to get it in, talk about a little bit of hip hop, talk about the Super Bowl coming on tonight, and everything else in between. I know you're really excited about tonight's game, considering your precious 49ers are in it. How good do you think their chances are?
I don't know, man, about tonight because Patrick Mahomes, he's been playing really good, and it's hard to count against the Chiefs. So, but I am still rooting for the 49ers. Hopefully, they can make it a good game. The Chiefs been winning. I think won like two Super Bowls within the last like 5 or 6 years. So they're pretty solid. So should be a tough game. So hopefully the Niners can pull it out. But I don't know, man. It's not. I don't really have too much confidence in tonight in the Niners though.
I was gonna ask, like, if you wanted really the Niners to win because you love them, or you want the Niners to win so like Taylor Swift and her fans could feel sad.
A little bit of both, man. Like I kind of want, yeah, yeah. I definitely want the Niners to win. I felt like they're due. They won 5 Super Bowls already, and it's been a while since they won. I think almost 30 years since they won the last one. So they're kind of due, and they've been to the Super Bowl like a couple times in the last 10 years, and they lost both times. So hopefully today they got some different luck. But we are going against like I would say like the Tom Brady or the Joe Montana of this era, Patrick Mahomes. So it's going to be a tough game. So we'll see what happens, man. Hopefully it's an entertaining halftime show. Hopefully it's an entertaining game, and hopefully Niners pull it out.
Yeah, it's the fucking biggest commercial day of the year. For all the commercial mainstream bullshit, this is the place for all of it if you're into all that.
Yeah. Speaking of commercial, did you see that new Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre commercial?
I did not see it. No, I did not.
Yeah, definitely check it out, man. It looks like I remember we were talking shit a couple weeks ago that that we wouldn't expect them to come out with an album, even though they said that they were working on one.
Wait a minute, wait a
But
minute, wait a minute. No, I wasn't saying anything. You were. You were the one saying I'll believe it when I see it and when pigs fly and when hell freezes over. I didn't say any of that shit.
yeah, but yeah, that's I was definitely saying that because Dre's been teasing detox for God knows how many years, and the shit never came out. So I did see. You should definitely check it out. That there's a little video of Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg. They're kind of like playing off of the Pulp Fiction, kind of like playing characters like that. But it actually is a commercial for a new like gin and juice, canned gin and juice that they're collaborating on. So it looks like they're getting back together and they got something in the works. So maybe that's a sign that maybe it might be some light at the end of the tunnel. Maybe there's a project coming out by them too.
Hey, stranger things have been happening the last few months, so I'm sure we'll probably get it. And when we do, it's not gonna have like a release date beforehand. I think it's gonna be like a surprise, like the way that Beyonce album was a surprise 10 years ago.
I got you. So yeah, we'll wait and see, man. I'm kind of staying away from social media the last few days, man. I don't know if you've seen what's going on, man. It's just the whole timeline is pretty much Drake, Drake holding his friend in his hand. I don't know if you've seen what's going on this past week, or you heard about like all the leaked photos of Drake.
I heard something. I did hear something about him, and oh no, now I know what I heard about. I heard at one of the concerts, like a dude tried to hand J. Cole his demo while he was performing.
No, I'm not talking
That's the
about.
that's the one thing I did hear
I'm not
about.
talking about that. It definitely there was a leaked tape of Drake that happened this weekend. It was like it was pretty much the only thing that was on the timeline all week. So definitely try to stay away. If you get a second, you should look see why he was trending earlier this week.
The main things coming up on my timeline this week have been the whole Monique interview and that stuff with The Rock. Those are like the two main things on my timeline pretty much the last 7 days or so.
Nah, you definitely might want to check again.
Actually, from how you describe it, I'm not sure if I want to check it.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to check it, but yeah, definitely. yeah, I had to stay offline for a few days to say the least.
Okay, fair enough. But did you get to catch any of that Monique interview with Shannon Sharp?
I saw some clips here and there. I saw that Monique was going in on people like kind of like how Cat Williams was, similar to that.
Yeah, she went in on Tyler Perry. She went in on Oprah. She went in on Tiffany Haddish. Yeah, she kind of had some legit gripes against them from the way she was describing everything. In retrospect, it wasn't fair for her to be labeled difficult and hard to work with and all that jazz when she just simply said she didn't want to go on a promotional tour that she wasn't being paid for.
Yeah, which is right. Like I definitely understand Monique's side of it, where she's coming from, and I don't know. Looks like Club Shay Shay is turning into the place where everybody wants to air people out. It's turned into a platform where people want to like go after people who did them wrong in the past. So it's kind of interesting how that platform is turned what it's turned into. And yeah, man, like it's sad how she was blackballed, man. She was one of the the biggest comedians in her time. That show that she had, I forgot the name of it.
The
Yeah,
Parkers.
the Parkers was a really popular.
Yeah, it was a Moesha spinoff. Yeah, the best friend from Moesha was their daughter, and then they gave them their own show.
Yeah, it was a pretty popular show, and she did a thing in the in Precious and other movies and whatnot. And then it was kind of weird how she kind of disappeared when she was kind of everywhere. So there's a lot of funny business that happens in Hollywood. So I'm glad that she's back out and she's doing her thing and she's out and about again. So 'cause she's definitely one of the better comedians.
Yeah, I found it super weird when she won the Oscar for Precious, and then after that, like you barely saw her in anything. Because when somebody wins an Oscar, like it's basically their career is basically set. They don't have to pretty much audition for anything anymore. They pretty much, in a sense, should have it made. But in Monique's case, it was the complete opposite. Like you just never heard from her again. And from the things coming out of her talking about how Tyler Perry spread the word of her being difficult to work with, and I think Oprah also had something to do with that. Now it's starting to make sense of why we didn't see so much of her the last decade. And if
Yeah,
that's all true, and Tyler Perry really did do that as well as Oprah, shame on them. That's fucked up.
yeah. It's not the first time we heard some negative news about Oprah recently, especially when it comes to actors or actresses not getting their just due and being respected how they should. So yeah, man, it's just not a good look, man. We gotta do better than this. Especially these are the most, I would say, most influential, also most powerful, financially speaking in the black community. So we got to do better as a whole, man. We can't be, bringing each other down and trying to block our blessings. So hopefully, they get it together.
Yeah, definitely. And it's okay to call these people out. I don't care how much of a fan you are, admirer you are, or if you think us as black people shouldn't call out other black people even if they are wrong. Nah. If anybody does wrong and does foul shit, no matter what color they are, no matter what gender they are, they deserve to be called out on it regardless.
Yeah, facts. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, and Monique's going to be going on tour now with Cat Williams, which should be interesting.
Yeah, the two of them. Yeah, that two of them together. So yeah, if they come to your city, you should check it out. Sure they both got a lot to say.
Yeah, I would definitely love to go to one of those shows. But her clapback at Tiffany Haddish was hilarious, where like Tiffany Haddish was criticizing her husband, saying, "I'm glad I don't have a husband like yours," or something along those lines. And then Monique's response was, "If you had a husband like mine, maybe you wouldn't have two DUIs."
Yeah, Tiffany Haddish shouldn't
Fuck.
be talking right now. She hasn't been looking good the last couple of years, so she needs to be stay quiet, work on herself, and get right. Because yeah, she shouldn't be coming out after people.
Yeah, I don't know if Girls Trip 2 is going to be coming out anytime soon, but that's like the main project I would look forward to seeing from her if she does come out with anything anytime soon.
Nah, I think that boat's sailed
Nah,
already.
I heard they were gonna do a second one. Nah, I heard like recently they were gonna still do the second one.
I don't know if too many people lining up to see that, especially with Jada Pinkett controversy, Tiffany Haddish. There's a lot going on with the cast, so I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I could be wrong.
It is what it is. But yeah, interesting interview. It definitely shows you Monique in a different light and shows you that she was done wrong a lot over these years. And I'm glad that she's finally getting to speak her piece without people coming all over her for it. Even Charlemagne apologized to her on the Breakfast Club, saying that he was wrong for the things he said about her back then. And And he even gave himself Donkey of the Day. That shows you that he's serious when he gave his own damn self Donkey of the Day.
Yeah, for real. So yeah, so hopefully we'll see what happens, man. Hopefully they all learn from this and kind of move forward, man.
Yeah, definitely. But what we're going to be moving forward to, in addition to the Super Bowl tonight, is the halftime show, which will be headlined by Usher. And from what's coming out now, it's going to be the longest halftime show ever, as it's going to be at least 15 minutes this year. It's already guaranteed that Alicia Keys is going to be there, as well as Ludacris and Lil Jon. And if this is anything like some of the performances during the halftime show we've seen in the last couple years, holy shit, are we in for a fucking experience tonight? I'm fucking looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it too. The only thing that I'm upset about is I don't like how they leaked. That Alicia Keys and Lil Jon and Ludacris are gonna actually be there, even though we probably knew they were gonna show up anyways. But still, it takes away from like the surprise element of the show and just something to look forward to. So I just wish the internet wouldn't fuck shit up sometimes and like release information before because kind of takes away kind of waters down the experience, a little bit.
I get it. I understand because I remember he was a surprise during the Black Eyed Peas' performance back in 2011. And yeah, if they had kind of leaked that ahead of time, yeah, I wouldn't have felt the same among other ones over the years, like the Destiny's Child one a couple years ago being another example. So yeah, I get that surprise aspect of it. But regardless, I mean, some of us probably could have predicted most of these people coming out for him anyway. Regardless, it's not going to make the show any less good.
Yeah, any songs that you think that or you're looking forward to for him performing besides and My Boo?
Well, considering that Lil Jon and Ludacris are going to be there, Lovers and Friends for one.
Maybe I don't know if that's commercially of a hit of big because when you think of the
Are you
Super
fucking
Bowl,
insane? Are you fucking insane? That song was huge when it came out.
yeah, but you're talking about white
The
America
fuck?
though. You're talking about white. That's in the black community, yeah, it's definitely a hit. But when you're thinking about Super Bowl, you're thinking about the most commercially popular
Bro,
songs.
people besides black people love that song. What the fuck are you talking about?
I'm not saying, but just besides black people, what I'm saying is when you're performing at the Super Bowl, you're gonna perform your biggest hits and you're gonna perform the songs that resonate with more than one audience. Lovers and Friends is one of his big tracks, but I feel like it's more of a it wasn't one of his biggest hits compared to all the other hits in his catalog. For example, I can definitely see him performing that Pitbull song. I forgot the name.
DJ got us falling in love.
Yeah, the DJ got us falling in love. He's gonna play that song. I could see him playing "Oh My God."
Definitely.
Yeah, I can see him playing that. Those are the type of songs I expect him to perform. I don't expect him to perform "Lovers and Friends." I don't know. That's just me. Even though it was a big track, but those I feel like he's gonna be doing more of the commercial, more of the popular pop songs. I would say that he's gonna do.
I could see them doing Lovers and Friends like at the end because even Michael Jackson's Super Bowl performance and Prince's Super Bowl performance, they did like their slower songs like towards the end as like a cap off. So if he does like do a song to end it, I could see him doing that song to end it possibly. But if they're both gonna be there, they might as well do it anyway. Fuck it. They never got to make a video for it back then when it came out, so they might as well perform it at the Super Bowl. Next best thing.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. I doubt that they're gonna perform. I think I could see you don't have to call or what was the other one? Not My Way. Nice and slow.
You make me want. I think for sure he's gonna do. I
Yeah,
think
you make
no
me
question about
wanna,
it.
or even if he's gonna do a slow song, he gotta do "You Got It Bad." I think that's one of my favorite Usher songs, Usher slow songs. That's definitely up there. "You Got
Yo,
It Bad."
you know who I could see making a surprise appearance? Well, Pitbull being one of them. Now that you mentioned that song, you know who I could see being a surprise cameo?
Cool.
Jeezy for "Love in This Club." I could see him coming
Oh
out for
yeah,
that one if he performs that.
yeah, that was another big joint. So yeah, be interesting to see how it goes. He has 15 minutes to perform. He has a lot of hits. So it's going to be tough to kind of cram all of his new songs in there. And he also dropped a new album as well. His new album dropped on Friday, which is pretty solid. I don't know if you got a chance to listen to it, but yeah, it definitely got some joints on there. So I'm sure I can expect him to perform some of the new joints as well.
Yeah, that'd be a good look. I definitely see him performing at least one of those. Usher's been killing it for what the last like 3, 4 decades or so. Yeah, he was around when we were kids. Like his first like major song was like this song called "Call Me a Mac" from Poetic Justice. He was like 13, 14 at the time, and bro, like 30 so years later, the dude's still kicking it.
Yeah, and he got songs for days. I just wish, man, it would be dope if he somehow brought out Chris Brown so they can do like a dance off. That would be dope. But I just want to see a dope performance. I want to see Usher get the flowers that he deserves because I feel like he's one of the best entertainers over the past 20, 30 years. And I want to see some choreography. I want to see some dances. I want to see some ill moves. I want to see some, hear his hits. So definitely looking forward to this performance a lot more than a lot of past halftime shows.
Yeah, Chris Brown is one of those like artists from like this era who never got to do a halftime show that deserves to do one.
I don't think they'll ever let him do it because of the whole Rihanna thing. But yeah, he definitely is a he should have been a halftime performer by now. But I doubt they'll give him the opportunity to do so.
I would say this about Usher: there'll never be another Michael Jackson, but he's the closest thing to him. Kind of how Kobe's the closest thing to Jordan. That's what I would say about Usher to Michael Jackson.
Yeah, I'll give you that definitely. As far as the singing, the dancing, the choreography, yeah,
Longevity.
definitely as an artist, definitely as an artist, Usher's been around for a minute, and I can't wait to see him get his flowers tonight. Yo, it's definitely long overdue.
I could see him also doing Confessions. Confessions, I could also see him.
Oh yeah,
Confessions, I
yeah.
could see him performing it tonight.
He got so many hits, man. It's gonna be interesting to see how he crams all these songs in there. So should be a dope night nonetheless.
Yeah, if you're not even gonna watch the game, definitely watching that show alone is worth it.
Yeah, since we're speaking of halftime shows, any other ones that stood out to you over the years, or some of your favorite halftime shows that you remember?
Well, one incredible one that was actually the first major one they ever did was the Michael Jackson one from '93.
Oh yeah, definitely. That Michael Jackson definitely stood out to this day.
Yeah, Michael Jackson's from '93, and it's a funny story. The reason why they started doing like live performances from commercial artists for the halftime show was because the year before in '92, Fox put on a new episode of In Living Color to rival the halftime show of the Super Bowl, and the In Living Color episode did better ratings than the Super Bowl halftime show did. So to counter that, the next year the NFL brought in Michael Jackson, and the rest is history.
Oh yeah, I remember that halftime show for the 11 Color. I remember it coming on. That was definitely funny. I missed that show, man. A lot of like that's where like Chappelle got some of her ideas, and yeah, it was definitely a show that was very popular in the '90s, and I miss it, man. A lot of great comedians and actresses and actors got their start out. Even J Lo was on that show, so there's a lot of big stars that came from that show.
It was like probably at its peak at the time. So yeah, I could see definitely how it did better ratings than the halftime show back then. And then yeah, and from '93 on, they've been doing like popular artists as like the headliners for the halftime show because before then it was like just marching bands. But yeah,
Yeah,
Michael Jackson's in '93 was incredible. Also, Prince's from 2007 was dope.
yeah, that was dope. How it was raining, and then he was singing Purple Rain. It was just a dope experience and a dope vibe to watch live on TV.
Yeah, he's one of those musicians I appreciate a lot more now, and I'm kind of ashamed that I didn't appreciate him enough when he was alive.
Yeah, he slept on Prince. I've always been a big fan of him since I was a kid. Since I watched that
Really?
video when Doves Cry. I remember that song was very popular when I was a kid, and I used to watch it with my cousin before school. Before we walked to school, we watched the video. It used to come on, so it was very popular. So
Wait a
yeah,
minute. Which cousin? Which cousin? Who you? When was this?
Fabrice.
Yeah, you guys would have been like 2 years old when that came out. That was like '84.
No, but I remember going to school when he lived. He lived there, and the video. Yeah, the video used to come on.
Oh shit, that's what's up.
Yeah, we used to watch the video in the morning. So yeah, Prince is definitely a legendary artist. He definitely deserves, all the praise that he got. He's definitely one of a kind.
And that "Let's Get Crazy" song he performed too. That song is mad dope. Yo, that's like the ultimate party song, straight up.
Yeah, you took the two that I was gonna mention, but some of the ones that I felt like was really slept on was that Bruno Mars Super Bowl show. That was fly. I don't know if you remember that one, but that was a dope. That was when Uptown Funk and all those songs were very very popular, and that's when Bruno Mars was in his prime. But that's one that really stood out to me was the Bruno Mars halftime show, and then also the Dr. Dre one that happened a couple of years ago with Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, 50 Cent, and well, I'm forgetting a couple other people that
Kendrick
Kendrick Lamar,
Lamar.
Mary J. Blige. So that was another dope one as well. And then that J Lo and Shakira wasn't bad either.
I mean, you can't go wrong with those two. Who the fuck is gonna get mad at seeing the two of them dance for 15 minutes?
Yeah, so yeah, those are some of the ones that stood out to me. Any other ones that
I like that Destiny's Child reunion they had in 2013. That was a dope one.
Oh yeah, the Beyonce one. Yeah, that was dope.
Also, the Black Eyed Peas and Usher from 2011. How can you go wrong with that combination?
Yeah, Black Eyed Peas was, man. People forget about Black Eyed Peas, man. They were pretty popular. They had a lot of songs, man. A lot of big hits around that time. So it sucks that they kind of broke up, and not really broke up, but it sucks that they don't make music together as a whole like that. I know Fergie, they came back out a couple years ago, but Fergie's not in the mix anymore, so it's not the same. But I remember Black Eyed Peas when they first came out, when they were a hip hop group, it was before Fergie, and they had that song "That's the Joint, That's the Jam," and they had some other female in the group. And yeah, I remember that song. I don't know if you recall the Black Eyed Peas when they first came out, but
I remember the first song I remember from them was "Where's the Love," and then that "Let's Get It Started" song, which is actually called something else.
nah, I'm talking about way before that.
Yeah, I remember that "Let's Get It Started" song was like a theme song to the playoffs that year, the year the Pistons won.
Yeah, that's when Fergie was in the mix. But I'm talking about before Fergie. They had like a black girl in the group before.
I guess that was like the early 2000s, maybe like 2000, 2001 ish.
Yeah, it was early 2000s, but yeah, it was definitely before they blew up. When they put Fergie in the group, that's when they started blowing up.
Goes without saying. And also the Rihanna performance from last year. I fucks with that one. I know she was kind of limited because she was pregnant, but it was still dope.
Yeah, she did some good songs. It was still good.
Yeah, just the funny thing is, I remember being at your house for it last year, and everybody came over, and then right after Rihanna's performance was over, everybody left.
Yeah, because if you don't like football like that, you're not gonna want to watch the game like that. So yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, that shit cracked me up. I'm not gonna lie, that shit cracked me up. I'm like, damn, at least y'all don't want to watch the commercials still.
I don't know, man. The commercials haven't been really all that. Like honestly, they haven't been all that in a while. You might have one good commercial, but I don't know. It's not like how everybody waits for the Super Bowl to see like a ill commercial. It's not like that anymore. I don't know, at least to me.
Yeah, I guess it fades out after a while, but yeah, that Rihanna one from last year was good, and also there was one with Beyonce, Coldplay, and Bruno Mars. I think it was 2016. That one I remember being blown away by.
Yeah, that one was another decent, good one as well.
Also, the one with Missy, Katy Perry, and I think Nicki Minaj made a cameo too. That one was also nuts.
Oh yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah, there's been some good ones over the years, bro. And yeah, honestly, like as far as the Super Bowl tonight, that's kind of what I'm looking forward to the most is the damn halftime show. I don't really watch football like that anymore. I've kind of faded out of it, but I'm sure the game will still be fun regardless. So I do enjoy watching all of that tonight. Getting fucked up too.
Definitely a good spectacle. Something to watch, and definitely going to be entertaining. So I'm looking forward for it tonight. So hopefully it delivers, and Usher does his thing, and the game is good at the same time. So that's what I'm hoping for tonight.
And I saw a post from one of Usher's mentors yesterday online, and it was promoting the release of the upcoming documentary for Freaknik. And the person who posted that was Jermaine Dupri. And the documentary is going to be dropping on Hulu March 21st. And I gotta say, I've heard some stories about Freaknik over the years. Obviously, I was too young to really experience it, but I'm looking forward to seeing what this shit was really all about through these lenses because I always heard some of the wildest, raunchiest, craziest shit would happen at Freaknik.
Yeah, definitely should be a dope documentary. I've heard stories as well. I know family members who's actually been to Freaknik and told me some of the wild craziness that's happened over there. So I won't put their name out there because I don't want them to get caught up with anything with their significant other. So we'll leave it at that. But I've heard some wild stories about Freaknik, and yeah, if you think about it, it's like a Mardi Gras, but like in Atlanta, and it's turned up. And you can only imagine Atlanta in the '90s. This is right after, I would say, like right around the Olympics when that happened, and Atlanta was popping. So yeah, it was definitely a lot of craziness going on. And I even saw Yolanda Adams was at Freaknik. I don't know if you saw that, or was that was a fake picture that somebody put online? It had Yolanda Adams and Trina. I don't know if you
The
remember that
fuck?
that video was circulating around a few months ago.
Yolanda Adams, the freaking gospel singer?
Yeah, I know it was probably fake, but somebody said that it was Trina, Yolanda Adams, and somebody else in a video, and she was like bent over or whatever.
Oh
It was funny,
shit.
It was definitely funny. It's definitely fake, but I just felt like the internet. had me cracking up, man. It was hilarious.
Who knows? Maybe
Whoever put that Photoshop.
who knows? Maybe it was for real, and maybe the Lord gave her permission to have fun for one weekend.
I don't know. Maybe maybe that's what made her get religious and make gospel music. Maybe after that weekend, she had to go back and rethink what she was doing. So I don't know.
Or maybe she had so much fun during that weekend she wanted to sing her joy for it by going to gospel music.
So I don't know, man. But just thought that was funny, hilarious. But yeah, it should be an interesting doc to watch, though.
Yeah, for me, from like what I've heard, Freaknik sounds like the in a way like the I guess the black version of Spring Break. Like remember that MTV Spring Break they used to do back in the day when they would go like to Cancun, when they would go like to Daytona Beach and all those
Yeah,
places. Like yeah, like Freaknik kind of feels like the black version of that,
but a whole nother
or
level,
maybe
a whole
raunchier.
raunchier, and yeah, a lot going on.
I've actually watched some crazy ass documentaries about those spring break events and all that, and yo, that shit was nuts. It got to the point where MTV couldn't do it anymore because it was getting too crazy. Like certain cities like didn't want them there anymore because like the local people would complain about how much trouble it caused.
Yeah, it makes sense. So yeah, different times, wild times, and it was this was in the '90s, so there was a lot going on. So yeah, I don't see anything like that happening again to that level, like how it was during the mid '90s. But definitely a wild time, to say the least. Crazy time to be alive.
Yeah, time I'm kind of mad I missed out on, motherfucker.
Yeah, me too. So, but we'll get to see kind of relive it through the doc. So could do that at least.
I know Lil Jon for sure is on it. I saw like a clip of him being interviewed, and I'm sure Jermaine Dupri will be on it. Also, Ti will probably be on it. Maybe Jeezy, maybe Gucci Man, like all the like local Atlanta artists. Yeah, I could see them all being on there.
Yeah, talking about it. Speaking of Lil Jon, did you see that he's coming out with a new album, a new meditation album?
I did hear about that. Yes, I did.
So yeah, it looks like he's following the footsteps of Andre 3000 and crossing over into different genres. So yeah, that's another one, man. That's another artist that I don't feel like he got his shine because he was running it for. He had a nice run, man, a good 5 year run in the 2000s, man. He was killing it. Him and the East Side Boys. He was like on every track. Like people forget how big Little John was at that time, man. So shouts out to Little John.
They're gonna get a flashback to that tonight when he performs at the Super Bowl. You know, I don't think he's ever done the Super Bowl before. Now that I think about it,
Yeah, to do it on his own, I don't think he would. Yeah, I don't think that he would. I would say commercially accepted like that for him to be doing his own halftime show. But nonetheless, it's dope that he will be on there tonight. And people forget like Lil Jon was everywhere, man. That yeah, catchphrase. He was on the Chappelle show. Like he was everywhere, man. So he definitely doesn't get the shine that he deserves.
yeah, ATL is gonna be repped hard at the Super Bowl tonight. Shit's gonna be nuts.
Yeah, and Usher definitely shows out for Atlanta. So we'll see. I even heard that he might incorporate like the roller skating into his performance. So it was dope to see. I've seen some clips online of him doing doing his little roller skate dance. So it'll be interesting to see how he incorporates that into the show.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's a big thing out here, especially if you've ever seen the movie Roll Bounce. So yeah, that'll definitely be cool if he implements that into his performance. But we will see. But some of the nominees for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame have been announced, and some of those nominees do include Eric B. and Rakim, Tribe Called Quest, Mary J. Blige, Mariah Carey, as well as Lenny Kravitz, just to name a few.
That's a pretty dope list. I wonder how many people get inducted every year. Is it like a set number, or you just have to get like a certain amount of votes?
I'm not 100% sure, but I just know they are nominated. I don't think it's going to be official about whether or not they go in until a few months from now. But for these artists to get that nominee is a big deal. Also, another one I forgot to mention, Sade and also Kool and the Gang.
Damn.
Those are two acts that definitely deserve to go in, no questions asked.
That's the stacked nominee list, yo. This year, man, it's gonna be tough to pick between any of those. Like, I feel like everybody in their own right deserves, to be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, based on their contributions to the culture. So, wow, it's gonna be interesting to see who actually makes it this year. But even if not everybody makes it, at least in the next coming years, the other artists on that list should definitely make it because all of them definitely impacted music in a big way.
Yeah, but one person I could see definitely going in for sure that's also on the list is Ozzy Osbourne. I think that's a no brainer.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
Ozzy Osbourne, also that group Foreigners in it. Sinead O'Connor's also a nominee. Yeah, this one and Cher. Holy shit, this is one stacked ass list.
Yeah, it's pretty. Yeah, it's a pretty long list.
Yeah, Tribe Called Quest, I would kind of want to see go in first before Eric B and Rakim. Although they deserve to go in there too. If I had to pick between one or the other, I think Tribe Called Quest should go in. Because to be honest, from this list, I don't think both of them are going to make it in. I think at least one of them does.
Yeah, it's gonna have one hip hop, and yeah, I would say Tribe Called Quest impacted the culture a little bit more based on how they infused the jazz into the hip hop, and that was definitely a sound that was kind of new to hip hop, and it kind of birthed like a lot of the conscious boom bap type of backpack rapper type of groups and artists coming after them. So they definitely influenced a lot of people.
Yeah, it goes without saying, but Eric B and Rakim, specifically Rakim, he was one of those first rappers who like really established lyricism. I feel like he in a way opened the door for other rappers like Big Daddy Kane, also KRS-One, people along those lines to like really establish their lyricism and be like known for that. So yeah, he was a huge pioneer in that department.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, he definitely should go in there. I don't know if they're gonna put him in now, but eventually he should get in there. Eric B. Rakim.
Before there was Gangstar, there was Eric B and Rakim.
Yep. So shouts out to them, man. Shouts out to everybody that was nominated this year as well.
Yes, but let's get into some of our anniversaries real fast. As this past week marked a very sad anniversary, as it marked the 24-year anniversary of the passing of Christopher Rios, better known to us hip hop fans as Big Pun. King Khan, I know you were a big fan of Big Pun back then. I remember you playing his shit back then all the time. What was your reaction when you found out that he had passed away that day?
I was really sad, man, because yeah, at that time, Big Pun was definitely a top five artist in the game. There's no question about that. That Capital Punishment album was fire from beginning to end. Had a lot of joints on there, and I felt like he was taking that next leap with that second album. Well, he actually appeared on the. Before, let me back up. He appeared on that Fat Joe album a couple times. He was on that John Blaze track with I think Nas, Raekwon, Method Man, a couple other people on that joint as well. So yeah, he was doing this thing, and then yeah, Baby was about to drop. It's so hard. The video came out, and people were excited, and all of a sudden he just passes away. Like just announcement that Big Pun passed away. So it was definitely devastating to me because I already had lost Biggie like a few years prior to that, and then to lose another one of my favorite artists, Big Pun, right when he was getting into his prime was just devastating. And I just I hope people will go back and listen to that album, Capital Punishment, because his lyricism, the like his phrases, like the stuff that he said, man, was like ridiculous, especially his size. And people forget that like he was mad skinny before he actually blew up. Like he was a mad skinny. There's pictures around you can see online of how he used to look before he got big, like he was, like people remember him by. But yeah, definitely a dope artist. And another thing that I remember watching recently, there was a freestyle session. I don't know if you've seen it online recently, but it was Big Pun, Most Def, DMX,
Yeah, I've
Mic
seen it. I've seen
Geronimo,
it.
and a couple other
That one,
people. That it was a dope cipher that they were just spitting bars back and forth, and you could tell they were spitting bars from like songs that would eventually end up on their albums. But it was just dope to see that many dope legends in a spot together and them just going back and forth. And that's what you love about hip hop, man. Just seeing things like that. It's more, it was more about the art back then and more about the culture. So shouts out to Big Pun, definitely a legend, and gone way before his time.
yeah, and also another example of what we said of like back then, you had to be nice. You had to be able to spit. And Big Pun was one of those people who could do that shit. Yeah, and another thing about Big Pun was the fact that he went through a lot of trauma growing up, and like I think he left his mom's house like at 15 and had like a traumatic relationship with her. So to cope with that, he ate a lot, and that would lead to him getting as big as he did. He went from being like 180 pounds when he was 18 to being over 300 pounds when he was 21. And then as he got older, it just gradually got worse. And even when he died, he was almost 700 pounds.
Yeah, that's what I saw. He was like 698 pounds. So yeah, anytime that you're that big, man, it puts a lot of strain on your body. And Led to his ultimate. I think he had a heart attack, right?
Yeah, he had a heart attack. And it's funny, like the year before he joined the weight loss program for Duke University, and he even dropped 80 pounds, but he ended up dropping it prematurely, and then he ended up putting the weight back on, and then a year later he died.
Yeah, just a sad story, man. Feel bad for him and his family, and like all the stuff that they had to go through, and the arguing back, going back and forth with Fat Joe and his wife, going back and forth, fighting over like his royalties and his his masters and whatnot. So that was just sad. On top of that, to lose Big Pun, and then then they have to fight, in the background, for over his estate and whatnot. So just not a good look. But have you ever heard you listened to his son before?
I think I heard bits and pieces of his son before. I remember him being good.
Yeah, yeah, he's not bad to this thing. So, but yeah,
But yeah, Capital Punishment is such an incredible album. In a year, that year being 1998, of many incredible albums, that's definitely, in my opinion, the top three. And he was the first Latino rapper to ever go platinum.
yeah,
That
yeah,
was him.
definitely a big note to something to mention. Yeah, definitely was the first Latin artist to go platinum, Latin rapper to go platinum. So, shouts out to Big Pun and his family, yo. Definitely missed.
Yeah, and it just kind of mirrors Biggie in the sense where Biggie also died right before his second album was going to come out, and Big Pun also died before his second album was about to come out.
Yeah,
Hell, even on It's So Hard, in one of the lines, he said, like, oh, I just lost 100 pounds. I'm just trying to live.
yeah,
And unfortunately, it didn't work out that way for him.
yeah. It was fucked up, man.
Yeah, but his music still lives on. We can still jam to Capital Punishment anytime we want. Also, Yeah Baby was dope with It's So Hard. Also, My Dick is fucking hilarious. And I'm
Yeah,
laughing
laughing at
and
you
I'm
now.
laughing at you and 100%. Yo, he
Yeah,
had
one
some
hundred percent.
bangers on that one
One hundred
too.
percent was my joint too, man. That was a dope track, man. I love that song.
Even though you play a hate, we still made it to the top. Yo, that shit's fire.
Yo, what the hell happened to Tony Sunshine, yo? Whatever happened to Tony Sunshine? He used to be on all the Terror Squad hooks. And I even think he dropped the album, but what the hell happened to him? He just like disappeared.
I wish I knew. I really wish I knew.
But he was one of the artists that was real. Like I love when he was on the chorus on the track, man. But what the hell happened? Somebody need to find out what the hell happened to Tony Sunshine, yo.
Maybe he just doesn't want to do music anymore.
I don't know. I'm gonna try to figure that out. See what he's been up to.
Yeah, just too bad he couldn't live to see the success of that second album and also to see Fat Joe's success too, because kind of like how Diddy really blew up after Biggie died, Fat Joe really blew up after Big Pun died.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, so rest in peace to Big Pun. And also one of the funny thing that Saturday before he died, he was actually supposed to perform on SNL with J Lo, but he wasn't feeling well and he backed out of it. And then 2 days later, he had the heart attack and yeah, passed away.
Damn, it's a sad story, man.
Yeah, but rest in peace to him. His legacy and his music will never ever be forgotten. That's a fucking fact. But moving on to our next anniversary, the very next day, on February 8th, 2000, we had the release of Ghostface's second solo album, Supreme Clientele. And many fans of Ghostface have arguably said this is his best album, and many people have said it's one of the best hip hop albums of the 2000s. And gotta say, I have to agree. This album is definitely cracked from start to finish. It definitely has that dope ass Wu Tang and Ghostface sound everybody loves and appreciates. And I don't know if I could say it's my favorite album other than Fish Scale and Iron Man, but it's definitely in that mix. Ghostface did some firework on this album that, in some ways, kind of doesn't get enough credit. I kind of feel like it's not on the same success commercially as some of the other ones, but people still praise it and people still have the high regards for it, like it was.
You pretty much said everything I was gonna say, man. Like you, people highly slept on this album when it came out, but he has some bangers on here, and it has that classic Wu Tang style to it. Got that. There's a lot of singles that were on here as well. The Char Share the Ghost
Bravo Kids is
was
fire.
on there. Apollo Kids, a lot of dope tracks on here. What else? The Nutmeg, that was one of my favorite joints on that album. It just, I don't know, man. It just shows you how dope Ghostface was, and he was just starting to get into this bag on this album. And yeah, it's still 20 years later, and it still bangs to this day, yo. It's still a classic album that doesn't get enough shine that it should.
Yeah, he killed it on this album. I kind of feel like maybe Wu Tang wasn't that hot at the time, so maybe that's why I didn't get the love it deserves. But people always praise this album every time you bring it up. And one thing I really like about the album that has become a lost art that we talked about before, the fucking album cover. Bro, this shit is fucking incredible. Look
Yeah.
at this shit.
Everything about this album was dope. Like it had a lot of songs on there, but it didn't feel like it was too long, and it was just Ghostface, like peak Ghostface in his bag, just going off on like all these classic beats, and it was just a dope, well to put together project. And I would say it's probably his best project to this date.
I liked it, but I can't say I like it more than Iron Man or Fish Scale. That's if I had to rank the three, I would rank this one as third. But it's still dope though. It's not a knock on it.
I would say Iron Man is my Iron Man and this one are probably my two favorite Ghostface albums.
Okay, fair enough. That song Malcolm was also dope. And the Ghost with You God, yo, that track is also fire. And one thing that was funny that I heard on the album was that skit talking shit about 50. Like Raekwon did something to his voice to disguise it, and he was like talking shit about 50 and
Mhm.
talking about how he was gonna come get his ass because of the whole How to
Yeah,
Rob track. Yeah, shit was fucking interesting.
yeah. 50 ruffled a lot of feathers with that song, just coming after everybody and talking shit. So yeah, definitely stirred up the game with that song.
Oh, for sure. But yeah, if people are talking about him to that degree, he must have been doing something right. But yeah, it's crazy to hear them talk shit about 50 like really before he blew up.
Yeah, but yeah, if you go back and listen to that song, yeah, he was going in on everybody.
Yeah, who would have ever
Like,
thought like he would do a skit on this album, like talking shit about this dude named 50, and then 3 years later he'd be like the biggest rap star in the world.
yeah, it's funny how things change.
Yeah, but it is a dope album in the sense that yeah, it doesn't like overstay its welcome. Even though it's 21 tracks, it kind of goes by really fast. Yeah, and there's a lot of skits on it too. A whole lot of fucking skits.
Yeah, so that's what kind of makes it seem like kind of like a movie, and that's what makes it go, kind of go fast, through the 21 tracks. But yeah, nonetheless, very well put together album.
And that song Mighty Hardy, which was also the main single, was also dope. I also heard he wrote a majority of the album when he was in Africa during a trip to Africa.
Yeah, the best. No, I was gonna say the best albums are when you're like away from everything, when you're like secluded from everybody. So yeah, he was able to really concentrate and focus and put together a dope album.
Yeah, so go back and listen to it if you haven't listened to it in a while. And if you've never listened to it at all, go check it out for the first time. And also on the same day, we had the release of Dead Prez's album, Let's Get Free, which is probably their most commercial and most successful album. And it features their main song that they're known for. It's bigger than hip hop. I know everybody knows that beat very well from Chappelle's show mainly, but one of the most classic hip hop songs of the 2000s and just period. And I have to say, from start to finish, this album is incredible with incredible topics, incredible lyrical skill, incredible production. This album was kind of a contrast from the type of hip hop that was coming out at the time, the more hardcore, in your face, party type shit. This album definitely kind of wasn't that, but that's the thing that I liked about it so much was that it deviated away from that. It stood out on its own, and it was an album in a way that educated people during a time when they weren't being educated the way they needed to be.
Yeah, this is definitely a monumental album because it kind of, I would say, sparked like the conscious rap around that, around in the late '90s era. I mean, late '90s, early 2000s. That's when a lot of artists like Common, Most Def Quali, they had a lot of albums that were more like more conscious and talking about like important topics. Like just listen to like to some of the track listing on the album, like They Schools, Police State, We Want Freedom. There was a lot of different songs.
Be healthy.
Propaganda, Be Healthy was another good one. Like a lot of deep tracks. How and then they kind of explain a lot of things that you want people to think about, not just like rapping and killing, killing people and about drugs and clothes and whatnot. It was so you were right. It's definitely totally different from a lot of music that was coming out that time. But yeah, they definitely brought that balance and brought more consciousness to the game. And yeah, if you listen to the songs and like what they were talking about, like it's just dope how how they were able to pull it off and was accepted by the masses of people. So shouts out to Dead Prez. It's definitely a dope album and it was much needed at that time.
The one thing I love about the It's Bigger Than Hip Hop video is at the very beginning of it, they show like the back of this girl's ass. And then right after they say, now that we have your attention, and then it goes into the track. Yo, what a great way to hook people in, bro. Fucking genius.
Yeah, that was dope.
And that song, They Schools, I remember my best friends in high school would always tell me stuff about like the education system and the school system and how like it doesn't really teach you what it needs to teach you. It doesn't really educate you the way it should. It kind of just like makes you more of a sheep than an actual leader. And yeah, like those conversations, it would be interesting. But then when I heard this song, "They Schools," I would just say to myself like, "Yo, that's the shit I was hearing about for years. Like, yo, they were onto something. Fuck." Because like there's certain things hit differently when you hear it from like a second source or like a second opinion. And then when I heard that song from them about day schools, like I never looked at really the education system the same way again. They really broke that shit down to a T.
Yeah, it was a lot of things that they broke down in a similar way. Another song that stood out to me was "Mind Sex." I remember seeing that video, and that was one of the first songs I would say that kind of touched on relationships in that kind of way. Like it was more about connecting with your girl, and there was not a lot of songs in hip hop that were like that. As far as like on deep and in that level and talking about having a conversation before doing anything with your girl. So yeah, it was just a dope, different perspective, and it was a dope video. And I remember that video stood out to me back when it came out as well.
Also, that song "Animal Farm." I remember reading that book in high school and like just seeing these dudes did a fucking song about it. Yo, that's like some innovative ass shit. Like, who the fuck was doing songs about the fucking book "Animal Farm" or hip hop songs at that?
Not a lot. Yeah, that's what separated them. Just their concepts, the topics that they talked about, their lyricism, and it was hot because sometimes you'll hear like conscious songs, but and you like the message, but the songs are not hot. Like they were able to find that balance to make conscious songs like sound good and sound relevant and make you want to listen to. So they did their thing on this album. They were able to find a balance between the two.
Yeah, and also as a vegan, one song I really appreciate is "Be Healthy," where they talk about like eating fruits, taking your vitamins, like not eating junk food, not eating like dead animals and all that jazz. Like this is like the pre-vegan song before like people even knew what the fuck being vegan was. So yeah, bro, that's how ahead of the game these dudes were. These dudes were talking about this shit in the year 2000, and that shit was not a popular thing by any stretch to be talking about back then. But these dudes were on that shit.
Yeah, definitely a dope group. Definitely way ahead of their time, and just sucks that they didn't get really like I would say the praise and acknowledgement as they should have.
Yeah, because mainstream society, they're not ready to hear a lot of that shit because a lot of that shit from that album kind of interferes with their daily lives and the things they love so much and the things they grew up to think that were right and the right way to go.
Yeah, you're right about that. So, but shouts out to Dead Prez, man.
Yeah, and also one song that really stood out to me the most on this album was that song "Propaganda." And especially the way I feel about the whole election stuff and political stuff these days, that song really hits me hard. Yeah, like they were really like even like in 2000, like the year of the whole Bush and Al Gore campaign, they were some of the first ones like really calling out like the corruption behind it, the bullshit behind it, and how in many ways the fact is that the president, the person that we see on TV, is more or less a mascot.
Yeah, facts.
Hi, Joe Biden.
Yeah, so yeah, definitely ahead of the time, man. Definitely did their thing, and like I said, it was much needed at the time, and it's still needed to this day. The type of topics that they were talking about. So yeah, if you haven't, definitely got to go check that out if you're hip hop head.
And in many ways, probably even more so today with a lot of the toxic bullshit we have going around. Yeah, music like this is definitely needed.
Yeah, it still holds up to this day.
Yes, and one of those socially conscious artists at the time they opened the door for was the one we're going to talk about next. Is 4 years later, on February 10th, 2004, we had the release of Kanye West's debut album, The College Dropout. And arguably so, his best album, his best body of work from start to finish. And this is the album that really established him as that dude. Arguably, probably the best rapper producer we've ever seen in the game, period. For someone who's as good at being an artist as he is at being a producer, I would maybe have to say I have to give that crown to him. And he proved it on this album as well as many of his other albums after this. But just me as a fan of his, especially back then, holy shit, is this album incredible. And even 20 years later, still slaps every bit as hard. What are your memories of this album back when it first came out? And what were your initial impressions of Kanye West as an artist?
Yeah, I thought it was dope. I remember hearing this. I was in college away at school in Tallahassee when this album came out, and yeah, this was the album that everybody was bumping for a very very long time. and it just showed Kanye's brilliance, his production, his lyrical ability, and just the way that he put a lot of like the hot artists on his album as well. And it kind of gave you a glimpse into Kanye's life and what he was going through, and like his his whole upbringing. And another thing I loved about the album was I think it was D. Ray Davis, if I believe. He did the skits. He was like the kind of like the principal. Remember the skits when he was talking about come on, Mr. West,
Yeah, of
wake up.
course. I thought that was Bernie
Yeah,
Mac
he
for
did
the
that.
longest time. I always thought that was Bernie Mac.
Nah, it was actually D. Ray because he's from. Remember D. Ray? He used to be on Comic View and a bunch of other stuff,
Yeah, like
other
yeah,
shows.
yeah. Initially, I thought it was Bernie Mac until I found out, yeah, that it was him doing those impressions.
The skits that he did, broke it. That shit was hilarious.
The
And the
degrees,
skits about
the
the
degrees.
skits about the degrees I was going to talk about. Like I have all these degrees, but I don't know what to do with them. Like shit like that. It was just a dope album, man. That's what made it turn into a movie and made you kind of feel like you kind of knew Kanye and kind of like live with him or like somebody that you grew up with on the block. So it was just a dope, way to get to know about Kanye. So yeah, and I even like the outro where he was kind of like doing like the thank yous. J. Cole kind of did a similar thing on his album,
Yeah, Forest Hills
Forest Hills
Drive. Yeah,
Drive,
we
where
talked
he was
about
like,
that.
yeah, where he used the outro to like do thank yous, but it was dope how I felt like it was ahead of his time how Kanye did the outros and the thank yous on the song. So it was dope. Just dope, well to put together album as well.
Yeah, those degree skits were hilarious. Where he's like, "I have those degrees, man. I have those degrees." People ask me what sexy is, and I say, "No, I don't know what sexy is, but guess what I can do? I can count all the change in your pocket real fast. And when you have those pretty girls to keep you warm in bed at night, you know what I'm gonna have to keep me warm at night in bed? That's right, those degrees."
Yeah. It was just funny, man. It was just those skits definitely made that album stand out and took it to a whole nother level.
Yeah, not to mention the fucking production. Fucking A, bro. That production was some shit nobody was doing back then.
Yeah, man, and like there was a lot of songs on here. All Falls Down. I had that song before it came out on the album. I had it with Lauryn Hill on it. I don't I had a Lauryn Hill sample. I don't know if you remember hearing that version of it, but that was the version that came out way before the album came out. Before they got Selena Johnson, who was in the video and was on the commercially released version of it. But I had that song All Falls Down. Like I remember, I still have it on my hard drive. That Lauryn Hill sample. That shit was dope.
That's funny to kind of get into the mind to create the album. He was listening to Miseducation like every single day.
Yeah, it just sucks that they couldn't use that sample. He had to do that. And then Jesus Walks was on there. Get 'em High with Kweli and Common, which was a dope track. I used to fuck with that track heavy.
Yeah, they all bodied it. And even when Jesus Walks, that was like one of those first real commercial songs, like back then, like commercial hip hop songs that was about
Mhm.
God. Who the fuck else was doing that back then? Who the fuck else was making songs about like God and going to church? And those songs were actually getting played regularly and like in the top 10 of the charts. Like who the fuck else was doing that?
Yeah, not really, not a lot.
Yeah, like that's why I say like he was influential in that sense. Like he was one of those few like mainstream rappers who could like do songs like that and actually make them pop off.
Yeah, it was definitely he had a lot of different type of songs on this album. Like he talked about God, he talked about school, he talked about his family. So it talks about women. Slow jams was on this album as well. The workout plan. So there was a lot of songs on this album that blew up. Through the Wire. That was his first, real single.
And one of the first like real early examples of how fucking innovative this dude was, as
And it was
he did
creative.
this fucking song with his jaw wired shut after a car accident that almost killed him. Bro, who the fuck did that shit? Who the fuck was doing that shit, or whoever would again?
No, he's definitely ahead of his time, and you got say what you want about him, political or what he says, and on his rants and whatnot. But as far as an artist, you can't deny how much of a musical genius that Kanye West is. Like he's definitely a genius. He knows music. He has the ear for it. He knows how good music should sound like, and you can't take that away from him. Say what you want about what his antics and whatnot, but when it comes to music, he definitely knows what the hell he's doing.
Oh, no question. He's a fucking genius. And myself, I'm not really as high on his music anymore or some of his antics and his behavior anymore, but I'll never deny how dope he is and how much of a genius he is, especially in those early years. Like this album, the only album I can say was close to being as good as this album for me was the Dark Twisted Fantasy.
Yeah, I think the graduation one was one that I was feeling. That one had Can't Tell Me Nothing, Good Morning. Yeah, that one had a lot, Everything I Am. That one had a lot of good songs on there as well.
Yeah, it was good, but the only thing I'll say about that one, I think the best songs on there for the most part were the singles.
Yeah. And I like the other one that had crack music on it. Well, I think that was the third one.
Nah, late registration, that was crack music.
Yeah, it was Late Registration. And there was that song with Nas, Barry Bonds, I think.
The one with Nas on the second one was We Major.
Oh, yeah, We Major. My bad. I got those three albums confused. I haven't listened to them in a while, but I just remember bits and pieces about around that time.
Yeah, I mean, Kanye blew up even more the next year with late registration, with Gold Digger especially. But it was during this point, I don't think I was ever as more of a fan of his as I was during this album. Yeah, I know we kind of lost his mind and went off the rails in the later years, but this era of Kanye, this time frame of Kanye, fucking incredible. Some of the best verses, some of the best production, and some of the best topics you'll ever hear on an album. Yeah, during this period. Yeah, this shit was definitely out of left field for 2004, considering like all the type of hip hop that was popular at the time, like the commercial party shit, the violent shit, the drug shit, getting fucked up shit. Yeah, this shit was definitely something that stood out.
Yeah, definitely a breath of fresh air, something different to what we were used to at that time. And yeah, that's what made him stand out. Like he was unique, he was creative, he was different from what the normal artists were like. So yeah, that's what made him, stand out at that time. So and become one of, a lot of people's favorite artists at that time.
Yeah, like he had a hard time getting signed for a few years because like he didn't fit that image of what hip hop was during that period, but he eventually got on reluctantly by Damon Dash, and the rest was history.
But yeah, definitely a classic album.
One of the best songs in this album, which is a song I actually work out to all the time, Never Let Me Down with Jay-Z. I'll never forget the first time I heard that song, it gave me fucking goosebumps.
Yeah, it's a dope track. It's pretty long.
Yeah, this is like when Jay-Z like pretty much quote unquote retired and like Kanye West was like just coming out. In a way, kind of now that I look at it now, it kind of felt like a passing of the torch moment.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, Jay Z was trying to like fall back and do like more of the business stuff, and then Kanye was like up and coming and hungry.
Yeah, that line that hit the hardest was, I can't complain what the accident did to my left eye, because look what an accident did to left eye. Fuck me,
Yeah,
son. Fuck me. Yeah, one of those timeless artists, bro. And like, regardless of what you think about him now, that shit he was doing back then, specifically this album, deserves its flowers and then some. And the shit almost won the Grammy for Best Album of the Year.
yeah, I'm not surprised.
Yeah, it won Best Rap Album, obviously. And I like the speech he actually gave when he won it. He asked, people wanted to know how I would react if I didn't win this award, but I guess we'll never know.
I guess we won't. Just ask Taylor Swift.
So shout out to Kanye for this classic piece of art, regardless of what you think of him now and his antics now. College Dropout is one of the best hip hop albums you will ever hear, and one I could still jam to this day, like I heard it for the first time.
Facts.
All right, so King Kong, get into some of the new releases we have to look forward to.
Yeah, just to piggyback off of the College Dropout, Kanye West and Ty Dolla Sign finally released their Vultures One album because there's supposed to be a three-part series where the Volume One drops in February, then March Volume Two, and then April the Volume Three is going to come out. So I don't know if you've checked it out yet, but I listened to most of it today and over the weekend, and not gonna lie, this album is pretty fire, man. Album
Good,
is pretty fire.
good, good,
I
good.
haven't said this about Kanye's cursing again. He's talking about a lot of different things. The features are dope, and Kanye's in his production bag. Like the album is really, really dope. He has his daughter on there. He has Freddie Gibbs, Travis Scott, Lil Durk, Playboy Cardi. So he has a lot of people on the album, and Quavo's on there. Casey from Casey and JoJo
Oh
is
shit.
on there as well. So there's a lot of great music on there, and this is Kanye. I haven't heard this type of Kanye since maybe Pablo, that type of era. My Dark Twisted Fantasy Kanye. So this is definitely a great album. And if you love the Kanye, like the original Kanye, like College Dropout Kanye, will definitely mess with this album. So definitely check it out if you haven't already. Kanye never releases anything on time. It's supposed to come out Friday. It kind of came out yesterday morning, and then it disappeared, and then it came back online. But definitely, whatever platform that you listen to, Spotify, Apple Music, what's the other one? Title. Definitely check out this album. You won't be disappointed. Definitely Kanye and Ty Dolla Sign did their thing with this album. So that's the first one you might want to check out.
Yeah, I'll definitely be looking out for that one. Also, what else do we have to look forward to?
Also Usher. I like how he put everything together for this rollout of this album. He dropped a single like months ago. He's doing the halftime show, and he released this weekend and released the album the same weekend that he's going to do the halftime show. But we haven't heard Usher like this in a long time. I believe this album is called "Coming Home." Is the name of the album, and it's about 20 tracks long, and it has a lot of dope songs on here. You got Her that's on the album. You got Summer Walker. You got 21 Savage. You got a lot of bangers on this album, man. A lot of good concepts, a lot of good records that it's just classic Usher, man. I haven't heard Usher like this in a minute, so definitely check out. I feel like it may be a little bit too long with the 20 songs, but it's good because I haven't heard Usher in a minute, and once you hear it and check it out, you know what I'm talking about. And then finally, we have Schoolboy Q. He's been, he definitely makes some great music, but he's been kind of, living life and doing the daddy thing over the last few years. But he came back this week and dropped a couple singles. He dropped Back in Love and also Blue Lips. So you can actually check out those album. I'm sorry, check out those singles on YouTube. We got a couple videos out if you want to check it out, and his new album should be out hopefully within the next couple of months. But those are the albums I would check out: the Kanye and Ty Dolla Sign Vultures, Usher's Coming Home, and then Schoolboy Q's new singles Back in Love and Blue Lips.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to listening to all of these over the next few days. Yeah, but how you describe that Usher one especially, I'm gonna be probably looking out for that one the most. I would say my favorite Usher album overall is 8701, but maybe this one can top that one.
No, it's definitely a good album, man. You won't be disappointed listening to it.
So King Kong, before we get out of here, tell our listeners how they can listen to this episode as well as past episodes of the podcast, as well as how they can follow us on social media.
Yeah, the best way to check us out is visit shiftingtheculturepodcast.com. That's where you can check out all of our past episodes and learn more about the show. And if you want to hit us up on social media, if you have any topics, if you disagree with any of the points that we made during our episodes, feel free to hit us up on social media. Or if you want to be a guest host and be on the show and chop it up with us, you can hit us up on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at Shifting the Culture Podcast.
Yeah, so holler at us. Let us know what you think. Enjoy the Super Bowl and the halftime show, especially tonight. And for King Khan, this is Conscious Kurt for another edition of the Shifting the Culture podcast. Take care. Have a good weekend. Don't get too fucked up. And whether you're an old school head or a new school head, always respect the culture. That's all I ask.
Peace.
Have a good one, guys.